The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 is an intriguing device. It is slimmer and thinner than the last year's model. It is a lot lighter as well. But is this phone a significant upgrade for me? I'm not sure about that. I need this device to convince me to choose it over just getting another Z Fold 6. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. I'm going to be using the Z Fold 7 as my daily driver or as my main phone for this video for 24 hours to see if it can convince me. So I'm not fully convinced that the Z Fold 7 is the upgrade for me personally. I need this device to actually convince me because although it is nice, it is thinner, it is lighter, it's not the big upgrade I was waiting for. As somebody who loves foldable phones, especially Samsung's Z Fold series, I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed at this release. It does feel like an upgrade that a lot of people wanted in terms of like the outer display being bigger and having the better main camera, which I also wanted too. But aside from those things, how much better is this device over something like the Z Fold 6? Especially when you consider that I was one of those few people who actually liked the outer display on the Z Fold 6, the one-handability, the ease of use, and then also the under-display camera on the inner display, the ability to use the S Pen. Like I have an S Pen Pro that I've been using for years, and then I also have the Z Fold 6 edition S Pen. And that was something that I loved since the Fold 3, and now it's gone with the Fold 7. So, is this really an upgrade for me? Well, just watch the whole video as I put this to the test and actually use it in my daily life and see whether it's worth it for me or not. Let's get into the fold. All right, so I just finished filming a video with this phone, customizing it, getting my layup set up. One thing that I just realized with this device that no one really mentioned, or at least I didn't see it, is that it has the full screen always on display on the inside screen. I think that's pretty sick. Nice little upgrade right there. All right, so now I'm just gonna use the device, reading the Bible, taking notes. This is how I usually use a foldable phone. 2-finger swipe for a split screen and then notes on the side as I read in Job. And then I'm of course watching some videos after. I can use the built-in hinge as a kickstand as well. However, it's not as reliable as you'll see later on in the video, but it works for now, so that is good. Then I filmed some videos with the Z Fold 7 comparing it against other phones. And I'm basically done that now, so it is time to go back to using this phone and get back into this video. So one thing I absolutely hate about the Z Fold 7, like it's such a big downgrade, and it's the hinge. The hinge, if you start from open, can sit at like most angles pretty reliably, or like more reliably than other foldable phones, but it's such a big downgrade from the Z Fold 6. Z Fold 6 can sit at literally any angle and be fine. This, look at that, it's just snapping back, potentially breaking your camera depending on where you sit it down. It's just not a good experience in flex mode and, using the camera with a built-in hinge. After using the phone for a bit more, watching some videos, it is time to charge up the phone and get ready for the day. All right, the Z Fold 7 is now at 100%, and I think it is time to actually put my SIM card in it and actually use this device. This is honestly the best SIM tool in the game. Shout out to nothing. Alright, so I just filmed the video with the Z Fold 7 and now it's time to actually video edit. So I'm going to edit the video I just filmed on the Fold 7 and see how this phone does in video editing. Video editing on this phone is actually a decent experience. It's pretty good compared to last year's model. And I mean, it's not anything groundbreaking. It's still LumaFusion, so it's not going to be the best. It did work, so I video edited for a little bit and then I left the house. One thing you'll see in this video is that the brightness outside is actually not as bright as you might think it is. So I just traveled to where I need to go for the day and it is 4:03. Phone is at 89%. I've basically just been using it to communicate as I drive and also, check the time, notifications, stuff like that. So it hasn't really been doing much. And yeah, it already dropped 11% since I fully charged it. But I did do some other stuff at home. But yeah, we're gonna travel back and I'm actually gonna use the GPS on the phone. Even though I use my Tesla GPS, I'll use the GPS on the phone to see what the battery life is like for, average people, 5G connected. All right, so I was just driving around, for about 2 hours. I had the phone doing GPS for about 1 hour, one way of the trip. And then I also used it to record some B-roll and some main footage as well. And now the phone is at 65%. It is 6:16 p.m. So let's see how the battery is doing in the stats. All right, so here is the stats. 35% used in 3 hours and 47 minutes. Screen on time of 2 hours and 25 minutes. We have 65% left. Using 5G as well. Yeah, as I said, maps, I was using it for a bit over an hour. I didn't really do too much on the phone since I took it off the charger. I was basically just using it as like a normal phone in my pocket, communication, and I've been on the go since. So if we were to extrapolate this data right now and I used it with similar usage, probably get around a bit over 5 hours of screen on time. But we'll see by the end of the day. I'm going to continue using it. My SIM card is in it, 5G, all that stuff, taking pictures. I'm going to play some games when I get home, do some work stuff as well. So yeah. So one of my main use cases with the foldable phone is using the hinge to film videos, so I don't need a tripod. I can literally just put the phone down on the table, save so much time, makes it very easy to carry and not have to, you know, bring additional equipment or as much additional equipment. So I really like it. I'm going to be comparing all their cameras. Try your best to guess which phones took what, and also the phone is really slim, and I definitely noticed that throughout my time using it, especially when you compare it to the Z Fold 6. The Z Fold 6 had a nice form factor, I really like it, but the Fold 7 is definitely slim, undeniably. Right now you can see the brightness is not that bright, like even compared to last year's model. I feel like even the Z Fold 6 kind of looks a little bit more brighter, and I tried flipping them on different sides to see if, you know, one's in the shade or whatever, and they're both at max brightness, and the Z Fold 6 looks a little bit more brighter regardless. I even sent the same photo to the Fold 6 to see if that was the issue, because I took the pictures with different cameras. And not like here you can see that the Fold 6 is just a little bit more brighter than the Z Fold 7, and I think that is because of how thin it is. There's just not a lot of space for thermals. In terms of the cameras, this is a good camera phone. Like it will get the job done for most people, and you know, your average shots will look pretty nice. I'm just rolling them on the screen. We will have better videos, more in-depth videos for the cameras later on, but at the moment I think the cameras are good. When it comes to like the zoom and the ultra wide, it's pretty much the same experience as the Z Fold 6, and I'm not blown away by those cameras at all. Even on the Fold 6 and the base model X25s, like those cameras are just not that amazing. But in terms of like how it stacks up against the Z Fold 6, is it a big upgrade? Not really. Is it an upgrade? A little bit, yeah. But it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're somebody who utilizes, you know, the more megapixels in the main camera for like different types of work, then it's nice. But in a day-to-day experience, the camera experience is not that different, to be honest. Well, the Z Fold 6 can get a little bit closer with the main camera in terms of focus, minimum focus distance, because of the smaller sensor. Could be a con to some people, but I mean, you're getting better quality overall, so maybe it's a worthy sacrifice. But overall, similar camera experience, it's not enough to convince me to upgrade, at least if we're just talking about cameras alone. Going back to using the phone though, it's very, like I said, very slim, so you will notice it. And in my experience using the phone so far today, I really do enjoy how easy it is to maneuver, how easy it is to hold. Although the screen is a little bit bigger than the Z Fold 6's screen, so there is that. It's not as one-handable, but the lightweight and the thinness is a decent trade-off, to be honest. In terms of the crease, people, you know, every year they'll say, oh, the crease is less this year, the crease is less this year. I think the crease is low-key exactly the same after using it, opening and closing it. Feeling it across the screen, it's not as pronounced, but like in terms of visually, it looks pretty similar in my eyes, to be honest. But I was never somebody who cared about the crease anyways. It never really bothered me from the beginning, like the original folds, I never really cared about the crease. When you first unbox it, it's gonna have no crease and then the crease will form. That's just how foldable phones are. After everything, I got home, I started video editing, and I did that for about an hour. And the experience is typical to Android phones when it comes to video editing in LumaFusion. Like, it's gonna be smooth at first. As you progress through the project file and do more things, it's gonna get a little bit laggy. There's gonna be some stuttering and stuff. It wasn't terrible. You know, I was able to get through this. I think it was around like 8-minute video. In the end, after cutting out everything, I was able to get through that pretty decently without too many issues. Near the end is where it started to like skip and like jump back to places like LumaFusion does. But the video editing experience is pretty good, and it's definitely able to be a phone that you can use for video editing content, especially if it's not like super complex videos. On the topic of video editing and power, I want to see how this phone compares to the Z Fold 6, because it is running the newer Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is, you know, a significant upgrade in terms of performance. So I want to see how it would do. And the Z Fold 7 exported this video in around 2 minutes and 47 seconds, whereas the Z Fold 6 did the same video file and at the same settings in about 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Definitely a significant more time, you know, almost like a whole minute of a difference in terms of the export speeds. But like at the end of the day, like that's a very niche use case, a very niche thing to think about when it comes to power. A whole minute difference is not that game changing, it's not that world changing, to be honest. The stability, the Z Fold 7 will be a little bit better long term, but again, it's LumaFusion that is the problem. Video editing apps on Android is just not that good, so there is that, regardless of how much power these phones have. So yeah, slight convenience, but nothing game changing. Going back to using the phone, you know, the screen, I watched some YouTube videos and you can definitely notice the camera cutout on the inside screen, especially coming from the Z Fold 6, where the under display camera actually worked pretty well in my opinion. Even though you can notice the cameras there, when you're watching the video, it's like almost non-existent. So definitely something I noticed while watching videos and playing games. All right, so it's 12:26 and the phone is at 6%, 5 hours of screen on time, and a total of 9 hours and 57 minutes of total battery use. That's basically one full day with the Z Fold 7. I will get back to my full thoughts tomorrow, but for now, super tired. You know, just shooting with all these phones and trying to make a bunch of videos at the same time. One thing I've noticed a lot with the phone while using it is that even with a case on, a slim case that has MagSafe and a hinge protection, it's still slimmer than other regular phones with, you know, generic silicone cases and stuff like that. It's still very similar to those in terms of thickness and width and all that. It's kind of insane when you think about like how Samsung foldables have been in the past. But so far, some of the main downsides are the hinge, how floppy it is, the screen brightness outside. It doesn't feel like it reaches the advertised brightness at all. And the battery life is not bad. I got around like a little bit over 5 hours of screen on time, you know, doing some heavy things. It's okay, and it's still learning my usage anyways, so it's not bad, but it definitely could be better. But yeah, going back to, can this phone convince me to buy it, choose it over a Z Fold 6? To be honest, we're at the end of the video and I don't have a clear conclusion. I know unfortunately that could be disappointing for you, but like the thing is, like, bigger screens, lighter weight, slimmer profile, but more or less a similar camera experience. It's a good difference, but it's not like a huge difference in your day-to-day experience. So when you consider all those things, like it's definitely a better phone overall, but is it way better than the Z Fold 6? And the fact that it doesn't have S Pen support anymore, like the S Pen is part of why I love Samsung's phones and devices, and now it's gone from this phone. So yeah, I don't know, I'm undecided. I'm leaning a little bit towards the Z Fold 7 again, because the slimness and the weight is really nice. But at the same time, I'm kind of leaning towards the Z Fold 6 because I do love the outer display on that. The build is also really nice and it was mostly a good phone. My main problem with the Z Fold 6 was that some games I would play would dip in performance, like Wild Rift. But how much do I play that game nowadays, and is it worth it for me? If you are wondering which phone I would choose or what I would choose to daily drive, then keep watching my videos. I am also using Nothing Phone 3 at this point. Yeah, stay tuned for future videos and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Till next one, we are out. Peace.